The session today, and today we have this, as planned, we have this maxillary central incisor with a treated incisal edge that we can see over here. There are staining that is on the labial aspect of this central incisor, and we are going to prepare the access cavity preparation. What are the steps involved, how we can proceed with this access preparation. So first of all, we need to consider that whenever we are doing the maxillary central incisor, we should evaluate it whether the tooth is strong enough that there are no visible fractures or no fragment that is mobile over there. So these things should be considered. And the second thing is, we are going to see this tooth in indirect vision. So never approach it in a direct vision unless and until there is a considerable loss of the incisal edge, the anatomy of the lingual aspect or the palatal aspect is completely destroyed. In that case, or we need to approach from the labial aspect. Otherwise, in normal situations when the tooth has a sound tooth structure, then we can approach from the palatal aspect in an indirect vision, keeping your position completely in an erect, good position, so that you can see with the mirror in indirect vision. Now, what are the third thing that you need to consider is, when you are preparing this or planning to prepare the access cavity, considering the sides is an important aspect. So when you see that there is a sharp meso-incisal angle, so this is the mesial side and this is the distal side, that you can easily appreciate in the patient. If there are adjacent teeth missing, then you can appreciate it with the help of the incisal angles. Now, where to approach? Approach from the distal angle, distal side, or the mesial aspect, or the cingulum aspect. What are the conditions that we can fulfill to prepare the access cavity? Considering this tooth, imagine this tooth and divide it into three aspects: the distal aspect, the middle aspect, and the mesial aspect in the vertical segments. Then in the horizontal segments, divide it into the cingulum aspect, the middle aspect, and the cervical aspect or the incisal aspect. Now once you divide this tooth into three parts or the three aspects, then the center point that comes for this tooth, roughly it would come over here. So this should be your approach where you should be planning the access cavity preparation. When you imaginary bisect this tooth both in the vertical and the horizontal aspect. Now considering the fifth aspect, what should be your burr that you can initiate? So initially you can use the endo access burr or the round diamond point. The angulation for this access, when we are approaching from the central approach or the bisecting lines that we have demarcated, so initially the punch should go at a 45-degree angulation. See, this is the vertical axis of the tooth directly going down, and we angulate the burr up to 45-degree angulation like this, and let the head of this burr go inside. Do not perforate it completely, that this may come out like this. So consider this head, which is roughly around 2 to 2.5 millimeters. So this head should go at this aspect. This is above the cingulum and well below the incisal edge. So let us begin in indirect vision, keeping the angulation at 45 degrees. So now you can evaluate the tooth. So you can see that we are in 45-degree angulation and half of our burr has already entered. Now again going slowly. Hope you can appreciate now. We are at 45-degree angulation like this, and half of the burr has entered. Now this must be sufficient. When your roughly full burr has entered, as you can see over here, now you need to change the angulation. So let us evaluate further how you see it. So now is the time to angulate this round burr into the long axis of the tooth. Now you can angulate this burr, and then we will shape the access cavity once we get the burr drop. So hope now you can evaluate it. And now going in the along the long axis of the tooth. Now you should be able to get the burr drop. So the burr drops, and you would feel that once you see it. So now you can use the DG16 probe over here. This is the DG16 probe, and this probe can be used if you have just entered into the pulp chamber and you had got the burr drop. Slight de-roofing is still required. So now you have to approach it a little safely. Hope you can see that darker area. So angulating the burr in the long axis of the tooth. So now you can see the darker area that we are able to visualize it. So use your DG16 probe. So now your DG16 probe is getting engaged, as you can appreciate, in the long axis of the tooth. So you have obtained that access into the canal orifice, as you can appreciate over here. So this is the time you can negotiate the canal. So let us magnify it further so that you can see it more clearly, the orifice that we can appreciate. So you can now negotiate the canals, or the canal that is there. This goes smoothly over here. So this is the time you had gained the access into the central incisor root, but you need to shape the access cavity so that the file doesn't hinder in between these walls and there is no shaping. So the broader base, so this shape would be roughly triangular with the broader base at the incisal and tapering towards the root. So for that you can use the endo access bar initially, and then we can use the tapered fissure bar. So we will start with the AtoZ bar. This is the 7th point that you need to remember. So over here we have the AtoZ bar, and now we are shaping the access cavity. We had already gained access into the root canal, and we are shaping this access cavity so that we have a straight line access. So you can see that or appreciate that we are able to form the triangular shape of the access cavity. We can still further modify it. So you can now appreciate that we had formed the triangular shape of the access cavity. And you can visually see the orifice. So this is the shape that we had obtained with the broader base at the incisal edge and apical end at the or directed towards the root. Now you can use the tapered fissure burr to still modify it and have the removed any sharp debris. Now you can appreciate that little orifice over there, this little orifice that is here. This is the entry into the root canal of the central incisor. So once you have made a central approach, you will get the root canal opening somewhere over here only. If you approach from any of the aspect, then you may get confused. So irrespective of caries present on any side, approach now we are using the tapered fissure burr to define the access cavity shape basically, and not going into the pulp chamber. So now you are able to appreciate the opening that we had formed for this tooth. So this tooth root is being directed towards the distal aspect, as we can appreciate with the opening over here, this opening, and we have formed a rough triangle over here with a straight line axis. Now the file is not hindering over anywhere, and the file can easily go straight. So you can check it with your negotiating file, that is the 10K file. And now you can further define the axis with again the AtoZ burr to have a smooth walls. So this is the last segment of the burr that we are using. And done. This is your final preparation or the access cavity preparation that you should be keeping in mind. Now you can appreciate the triangular access with a orifice that you can visually see and have negotiated the canal. So this should be your approach with a straight line access, walls forming the triangle and safely going into the central incisor. Hope this was useful to you. If you have any queries, you can ask in the comment section below the video and have that thing in keep these points in mind. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.